What you are about to experience is out of this world. Politics, history, and of course, a lot of entertainment. It's time to rock it with the Docket.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We are here with our 108th episode of the Dockery Docket. I'm excited to be here, and I hope that you are excited to be here as well. And if you are excited to be here as well, make sure to go down below, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, so then you never miss one of my videos. We begin this episode with some very exciting news. After years of the COVID-19 pandemic raging across the country, after all the masks, after all the lockdowns, after all the vaccine mandates, Joe Biden, in a 60 Minutes interview, confirmed that the COVID-19 pandemic is over. Here's that video.
Mr. President, first Detroit Auto Show in 3 years.
Yeah.
Is the pandemic over?
The pandemic is over. We still have a problem with COVID. We're still doing a lot of work on it. But the pandemic is over. If you notice, no one's wearing masks. Everybody seems to be in pretty good shape. And so I think it's changing, and I think this is a perfect example of it.
Now, he didn't just say this once, he said it twice. This is such great news. Now things can finally get back to normal. Wait, do you hear that sound? Oh no, it's the end of COVID party!
The pandemic is over. But the pandemic is over. The pandemic is over.
Okay, I know that's an old meme, but it's time to celebrate, because we have been dealing with this pandemic and COVID in general for so long. The very first episode of the Dockery Docket that talked about COVID-19 was released on March 17th, 2020, talking about the toilet paper shortage as people were trying to prepare for the lockdowns. In that video, I didn't know that COVID was going to be this big thing, or that it was going to cause so much controversy. I thought that it was going to be a 2-week thing and everything would just go back to normal. Everyone would be fine and we just all go back to work. Then it wasn't normal. And our entire world changed. All of that was almost 2 years ago, and I am so glad to say that the President of the United States has officially claimed that the pandemic is over. I know for some like me, the pandemic has been over now for months. However, there are still people out there that are still cautious when it comes to COVID-19, which is 100% fine. People can still wear masks or do whatever makes them feel like they are safe. I still think it has been time to get back to normal, and most people have gone back to normal, and that's what Joe Biden said in this video. People aren't wearing masks as much. We are having car shows again, and sports games have people in person now. The situation right now is nothing like it was at the beginning of the pandemic. This should be a time for celebration, because the pandemic is over. But I think that there are people that want to keep the pandemic around for some reason. As after Joe Biden made this little speech, there was an actual protest outside of the White House. That's right, there are people that are angry that Joe Biden claimed that the pandemic was over. As there was a group of people called MEA Action, which MEA is capitalized, Network, which is a group of people that are suffering from ME/CFS, which is also known as chronic fatigue. One of these protesters said, "We are sick and disabled with ME/CFS and long COVID, but we are here today putting our bodies on the line to tell President Biden that the pandemic is not over, that millions of us are being disabled from post-viral disease, and we need urgent action from our government." This person also said, "We are calling on President Biden to declare ME/CFS and long COVID a national emergency. The demonstrators also demanded investments in research, public education, access to treatments, and economic support for patients with long COVID-19 symptoms. And they asked the administration to continue proven methods for limiting the spread of COVID-19, such as giving out high-quality masks and sustaining federal funding for vaccinations and vaccine testing. Sorry, that's supposed to say virus testing, not vaccine testing. Now, it wasn't just these protesters, as Biden's White House COVID-19 response coordinator contradicted Joe Biden's statement. Ashish Jha, which I'm probably saying that name wrong, I apologize, said in a press briefing that the pandemic isn't over and that he and the administration will be vigilant and prepare for the twists and turns. Robert Murphy of the Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine said, "The pandemic is not over. There are 3,700 hospitalizations and 400 plus deaths per day. It's the sixth most common cause of death, and more than Alzheimer's, diabetes, influenza/pneumonia, and kidney disease. If this is over, we lost." He continued by saying, "I think this was an off-the-cuff gaffe," which Joe Biden is known for. What these scientists need to realize is that COVID is not going to go away 100%. COVID will always be with us. But what we are dealing with right now is nothing compared to the thousands of people that were dying every single day because of COVID. And because of all this controversy, Joe Biden's administration had to come out and play some more cleanup. As the best press secretary in the history of the world, Karine Jean-Pierre had to walk back Joe Biden's statements. As during a press conference, she talked about the massive success that the Joe Biden administration has done, like vaccines and treatments, even though more people died of COVID under Joe Biden than under Donald Trump, but she never mentioned that. However, she did attack Donald Trump by saying, "Just think about where we were when this president walked into this administration. We're again a response to this one-in-a-generation pandemic was mismanaged by the last administration. Now we are in a place where it is a lot more manageable." However, I believe that COVID-19 is more manageable now because the pandemic is ending. The COVID that we have right now, which I still believe is Omicron, is way weaker than the original COVID-19. COVID is dying out. And even though it'll be with us forever, as I already mentioned, the virus will just continue to get weak. Now, I will be honest with you, it's sad though, because this always seems to happen whenever Joe Biden makes a statement. He'll be like, today I want to make a trade deal with Canada. And then the White House will come out and be like, well, Joe Biden didn't actually say that. He was actually wrong about that. What he actually meant to say was, we're going to have a trade deal with China. And then it just all gets confusing. Joe Biden has even complained about this before. Because honestly, I would be annoyed with this too if people constantly tried to change what I was saying all the time. Like, everything that Joe Biden says has to be corrected. And what he says should go. Because we should be able to trust the words of the president no matter what he says. Whether they are gaffes, which Joe Biden is used to doing all the time, or serious statements like the pandemic is over. However, the White House and the media are always there to clean up Joe Biden's messages and messes. This happened again in the same 60 Minutes interview, as he was talking about Taiwan, as Joe Biden has said 3 different times that he would defend Taiwan if China decided to invade Taiwan. It would be in the United States' best interest to defend Taiwan if China decided to attack, because Taiwan is a democracy and they are also the true Republic of China. However, because China has been a little bit of a butt for the last couple of decades, they believe that Taiwan is actually a part of China. This goes along the lines of the One China policy, which was passed in 1972. And the United States acknowledged that all Chinese territory on either side of the Taiwan Strait maintain there is but one China, and that Taiwan is a part of China and does not change that position. That code right there reaffirms the United States' interest in a peaceful settlement of the Taiwan question. So Joe Biden saying that he would defend Taiwan if China attacked could make China feel threatened by the United States, and then decide to attack and take Taiwan for their own. So to clean this up, Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, claimed that Joe Biden hadn't changed his policy and said that Joe Biden's answer was hypothetical. even though the United States intelligence thinks that China is building a force capable of taking over Taiwan. Now, it seems right now we are moving from one crisis into another crisis, as we are looking back in our rearview mirror and seeing COVID-19, but in front of us, there's a whole new crisis. Could this new crisis be World War III? I know it sounds crazy to say, but what if these little proxy wars that are breaking out all over the place, like Russia and Ukraine and China and Taiwan, are actually something bigger? What if both China and Russia are trying to stop and destroy the West because they think we are too powerful and we're too controlling on them? Like in the Ukraine-Russian conflict, we and the West are sending millions to billions of dollars to Ukraine to help defend them. Which of course is the right thing to do, but it is making Russia very mad at us. So mad that Putin is getting a little bit crazy. As because of all this support from the West, Ukraine has been holding off Russia. According to the Washington Post, the Ukrainian government said its military has liberated 20 settlements Russia has occupied during the war. This is a great morale boost for the Ukrainian military, but a shocking blow to Russia. However, Russia isn't backing down anytime soon, as there are 4 territories that Russia took over that are going to vote to leave Ukraine and become a part of Russia, which Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, is calling a desperate sham. Putin believes that this territory that he just conquered is Russian territory, so he wants to protect it no matter what. And if Ukraine were to attack these different lands, then Putin could claim that Ukraine was attacking Russian territory, so then Russia needs to attack, maybe using something stronger than just bombs. As last week, Vladimir Putin made a rare TV appearance, where he claimed that Russia will be mobilizing more troops into Ukraine. Putin also claimed that the West is using the threat of nuclear weapons to blackmail Russia, and that those who try to blackmail us with nuclear weapons should know that the weather vane can turn and point towards them. This is Putin flat out saying that he will use nuclear bombs in this war, which would be a major escalation in this war. Putin also claimed that he was not bluffing when he said that he would use nuclear weapons. And honestly, I believe him. He is a madman that wants to hold on to power. And if he can't have Ukraine, then he might as well go out with a bang and take it with nukes. Now, if nukes are dropped in Ukraine or anywhere else, the United States and our allies would have to step in and help end the situation as soon as possible. And if that happened, I believe Russia would call up China, because China right now is their friend. And they would make an alliance with Russia, and then China would invade Taiwan, which would mean that the Americas would want to help them. And boom, we are in a global conflict just like that. Just because some stupid raging monster wanted to take over another country. It could mean the end of the free world as we know it. This is a bad case scenario, but there are a lot worse. Russia could try and nuke the United States, and the United States could fire a nuke back, leading to nuclear war. China could take over Taiwan and then threaten Australia. Like, there are so many situations that could happen, and hopefully none of them happen, and this is just all a bunch of hypothetical war gobbledygook that's going on in my head. Because there are so many rabbit trails that could lead to the world falling apart, and it's honestly scary. It's almost like we are living in the Second Cold War. However, at that time we had a strong military, and our country was united in stopping our enemies. Do we have that now? Well, no, not really. As right now, I know it, you know it, everyone knows it, our country is extremely divided. We saw that a few weeks ago when Joe Biden claimed that half the country were domestic terrorists. One person took Joe Biden's word seriously and ended up running over a teenager over a political disagreement. As the driver said to the police that the pedestrian called some people and the driver was afraid they were coming to get him. The driver also admitted to state radio that he hit the pedestrian, and the pedestrian was a part of a Republican extremist group. Was this person really a part of a extremist organization? Well, we don't really know because the guy is dead. Luckily for us, this driver was thrown in jail, never to be seen again. Well, not exactly, as his bond was set to $50,000 and he was able to pay for that, and now he is out of jail free for right now. Hopefully there will be justice for this teenager. However, it's not just this story. We know that our country is divided just by the political factions being so deeply fractured. Can this country unite and come together and fight a common enemy like Russia or China? Well, that really has to go to our military that is having a recruiting shortage right now, as a lot of people right now don't want to join the military for some reason. As according to NBC News, every branch of the military is struggling to make its 2022 recruiting goal. Now, there could be many reasons why people don't want to join the military. People don't want to fight in wars if they have to. People don't feel like they are mentally, emotionally, or physically fit to be in the military. However, there may be a reason that young conservatives aren't joining the military, and that's because the military has gone woke. As recently in the Air Force, they are trying to make it so you can't say mom or dad, or you can't use other gendered language. Instead of calling your mom and dad, you have to call your parents or guardians, just so someone doesn't get triggered. Along with that, a long time ago, there were recruiting videos that talked about a person having two moms. Now, that's 100% fine, but A, it's not motivating people to join the military, and B, it will recruit the wrong people. People that are weak and spineless. The military is also spending billions of dollars on woke education in the military. Instead of fighting terrorists, we are fighting white supremacy in the military that doesn't even exist. It's stupid, and it will also hurt our military very badly. I mean, could you imagine, for a minute, the opening scene from Saving Private Ryan, where the US military was storming the beaches of Normandy, and people are getting hit with bullets all around you. The person that's standing right next to you just got shot, and he's dead. Everyone remembers that scene, right? So let's imagine you get out of the boat, and you're on the beaches of Normandy, and you get behind this barrier, and another soldier comes up to you and says, "We have to take out that sniper. He is killing all of us." Through all of the noise of the battle, a blue-haired liberal stands up and says, "Hey, you don't know his pronouns. You could at least ask. Don't be rude." Your soldier friend then begs the woman to get down, but it's too late. The sniper then locks on this woman and fires. Too bad she won't be able to go home and see her parental guardians. The point is, the military shouldn't be woke at all. It shouldn't even be political. The military should have one mission: stop the enemy, no matter what the cost. But if we keep running our military with wokeness, do you think we will win a war against Russia and China? No, probably not. That's probably why both Russia and China are cheering on the woke military, and also our country being divided. If we end up going into a civil war, our enemies could just walk right in and take whatever they want. So in the end, while COVID-19 is in the rearview mirror, I believe that the next crisis that we deal with could be a whole lot worse, especially if we don't stick together as a country to fight our enemies. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.